In this video, I will show you how to create a consistent Mona Lisa character as an AI influencer, along with multiple consistent characters in the same scene using Flux Lora. We'll also create a mini AI film using Kling AI's Image-to-Video module. With this method, you can use your own face and place yourself in a variety of different film universes. First, let's watch the mini AI film.
Hello! I'm Mona, and I spend most of my time scripting my next video or trying out the latest beauty products. It's what I do. Reviewing makeup products on YouTube is my life, and I love every moment of it. Welcome to my channel, Mona's Muses, the Modern Masterpiece. It's a journey where a beauty vlogger, yep, that's me, and an eccentric inventor navigate the quirks of modern life. And then there's Leonardo, my neighbor. He's a very special man. Leo, as I call him, is mostly at home in his workshop, surrounded by his wild experiments and drawings. He's brilliant, just more comfortable with computers and gadgets than with people, which is totally fine. His basement is a playground. Think half-finished gadgets, sketches, and the occasional small explosion. One of his gems? The Vitruvian Roomba, a robotic cleaner that tries to draw perfect circles on the floor. I call him a true Renaissance man with so many talents and interests. At the moment, I'm trying to expand my brand, which means dragging a very reluctant Leo into the world of social media. He's obsessed with capturing the best camera shots, which of course comes in handy when he's helping me out with my videos. Sometimes Leo's inventions go wrong, like lipsticks that explode like firecrackers or a drone that went rogue. But you know what? Despite the chaos, Leo is slowly drawn out of his shell. As our friendship blossoms, we navigate everything together, all while somehow becoming the most talked duo of the history. So stay tuned, because with us, you never know what's going to happen next.
Let's jump into the tutorial. I've added chapters for easy navigation. In the first part, I will show you how to create consistent-looking characters of Leonardo and Mona using Flux Lora Trainer on Replicate. We'll also explore some prompting tips for maximizing Super-Photorealism on Flux Lora. The second section will cover tips and tricks for Kling AI's Image-to-Video feature. Next, I will guide you through creating a consistent style on Flux Lora, not just for photorealism, but also for illustrative art styles. Let's dive in. We will start with creating Leonardo. For this job, I'm using Flux Lora on Replicate, but you can use other online options or local option in your Mac or Windows device. I wrote this prompt, photo of young Leonardo da Vinci in modern outfits, portrait as a nerd engineer with a dark blue hat. We have a long beard and long hair. And I also added a camera name here. I just name dropped this camera name. It's not necessary. It's just something I like to do in portraits. I set up aspect ratio. Rest of the settings I kept in default except the guidance. I had the sweet spot for guidance at around 2, between a good prompt understanding and realism. I added a more detailed explanation to Mona section in the tutorial. You can take a look at it. The rest of the settings are pretty much default. Once you are happy with your character design, then we will need to be able to use this character in a variety of scenes. For this job, I use the consistent character tool from FOFR or FOFR, and I want to say my gratefulness and thanks to him or her. This tool simply allows us to upload a photo of our character, and then tool gives us photos of the same character from different perspectives. And these images will serve us while training our Flux Lora. Link to this tool is in the description down below. I wrote the same exact prompt that I used while creating this image. This is where I added my original image of Leonardo. I didn't change the rest of the settings, and I just hit run. And I ended up with these images here, where you can download as a zip file together. So I opened up the zip file. I upscaled using Gigapixel AI. But you can use other tools for upscaling, like Magnific or whatever. And I changed the names of the image files to this format of photo of L da Vinci. If you watch my previous video, you'll know exactly why that we need these specific names for our images. Particularly L da Vinci is very important because we will use this as a trigger word while training our Flux Lora with Leonardo's images. After that, as the next step, you select all your images, right-click and hit compress. And this will give you a single zip file with all these images you created. In the next step, I'm coming back to Flux Lora Trainer on Replicate. I already made a detailed video about this, and I'm also attaching a fantastic guide from Zeke explaining the whole process in detail. You can find in the description down below. It's a fantastic, great guide that you can read through. But as part of this tutorial, I will show you how I trained Leonardo's images using Flux Lora Trainer. You come here and choose a model. Ideally, you need to create a new model. You can see some of the previous models I trained. So you need to choose create a new model while training your character Flux Lora. You give any model name here, and if you choose one of the existing models you trained, it will add under this link as a new version of the model. In the next step, I'm adding the input images we just created using Leonardo's images. I'm clicking on this cloud icon here and then hitting drop a file. And this opens up the menu where I can choose the zip file I just created. I'm attaching it here and I'm choosing my trigger word. This is what I mentioned before. You need a very unique trigger word. And guide from Zeke explains this very nicely. You need a very unique trigger word. Something which will not be mixed up with existing words, like a dog or a cyberpunk. So in my model, I choose the trigger word, Al Da Vinci. I have not added any suffix to the training model, but I'm adding a prefix just to ensure a simple prefix of photo of Al Da Vinci. I kept it in 1000 steps for training. Considering we have multiple images of the Leonardo from different perspectives, I strongly feel the 1000 steps will be enough. But if you have, let's say, just one image or just 2-3 images of the same character or object, you can use the 2000 steps to ensure a much efficient training. Rest of the stuff I'm pretty much keeping in the default values. And you hit create training and our model is ready to use. This means we trained a Flux Lora with Leonardo's images. Now we can prompt with our trigger word, which is Al Da Vinci, and this Flux Lora model will create any scene with a consistent character of Leonardo in it. For example, I wrote, cinematic high-angle photo of surprised and stressed Al Da Vinci, our trigger word, the man with beard, long hair and glasses, small explosion with a small fire and smoke coming out in the background. Now, few things here. The surprised and stressed face expression is not really well represented here. That may be due to the training images I choose. If you add more face expressions of the same character to your training data, you can display more easily different face expressions. The second thing, the man with beard, long hair and glasses, this is not a necessary step. It's just a cue and clue to help model with. For this one, I will set the guidance to 2 again to hit another run and see you how it looks like. I will come back to this extra LoRa part in a minute, that why there is an extra LoRa here. For now, it's not important. I changed the output format and I hit run. Here's the result with the character face we trained. Let's try something else. I wrote cinematic full body photo of Al Da Vinci playing tennis in a sunny day with Nike tennis outfit with visible motion blur displaying action in the scene. I have 2 as a guidance scale and let's hit run. Our image is ready and we have a female version of our character. I wanted to show you that in particular because this explains my point when it comes to giving some clues to help the model. Sometimes if you don't give these clues, models comes up with different results, which is not what we want. I will go ahead and add the cue or clue, the man with beard, long hair and glasses. It's just a time and lifesaver. A simple cue will be sufficient. Let's run again. And here's Leonardo playing tennis. So we have a bit of a problem with how he holds the tennis racket. This doesn't necessarily look like Nike, but you got the point that we managed to create a scenery with the character we created. Now, with some reruns and updating my prompt, maybe compromising a little bit from photorealism and pushing this towards more prompt accuracy, I can go wilder on really creating a Nike outfit or showing the motion blur is a little bit more strongly. While making my mini AI film for Mona Lisa, I used this pre-trained model from FOFR. Thanks again for this. I could train my own model as well with the images of Mona Lisa, but just to save time, I used this model. You can find link to this fine-tune in the description down below. So simply, you can use M and ALSA as a trigger word, and you can create your scenes with this model. It's very easy. Let's make an example. I wrote this prompt, cinematic photo, wide shot of an ALSA, our trigger word, filming a YouTube video. She's standing in her stylish, well-decorated living room, facing the camera with confidence. Soft studio lights and a professional camera setup are visible. She's holding a product, speaking animatedly to the camera, fully in her element as a beauty influencer. I set the guidance into 2. We don't need any extra LORA at the moment. I hit run. And here we have a Mona Lisa standing in her living room. We have some issues with the accuracy of details, particularly towards the camera's objective is looking at the wrong direction. So probably we need a re-roll, but character consistency is here. I generated scenes from my mini film using this model and Leonardo model that I trained, that I showed you. So individual scenes were easy to make. But how about multiple consistent characters in the same scene? If we want to show Leonardo and Mona together in the same scene, for this job, we will use multiple Flux Loras together. You remember that I showed you an extra LORA string. This is the model FOFR trained with Mona Lisa images. It's a public model. In fact, you can add any public model you trained with different characters, even with product images. When you add a second Flux Lora to your existing trained model, the critical element is you need to use 2 trigger words in your prompts in order to use both models in the same time. This means while designing my prompt, I'm using both L Da Vinci, my initial trigger word for this model, and I'm using M and ALSA from the second Flux Lora model together. You may ask why we have brackets and why we have additional descriptions. It is again same thing about giving clues and cues to the model to ensure that we have a clear, separate visual distinction of the both characters in the same scene. Let's run this model and see what happens. And here's the result. We have a distinct looking Leonardo, distinct looking Mona, together in the same shot. It's very difficult to do this with Midjourney at the moment. So I'm really grateful for this new workflow on Flux Lora. I updated the prompt also a little bit. I also added some face expressions. And of course, it's due to training data, we are having a little bit of difficulty with different face expressions, but this can be easily solved with image-to-video, with Kling or Runway. You can use any trained Flux Lora here. It's just you need to be careful with the formatting here. You need to have this format, owner, username, or if there is multiple versions of the same model you trained, then you need to also specify the version part. You can also use other models from Hugging Face, for example, together with their Hugging Face URLs in this page. If you don't specify the cues and clues for the model with these descriptions in the brackets, you may end up with similar looking characters. But with this method, actually, we are saving a lot of time and preventing potential errors of the models mixing up to each other. And here's another example that I used, again, in combination of 2 models together in an event. And you can see a clear distinction and consistency of both characters in the same scene using this method. Next thing I want to show you is called grid method. And this is another way of creating consistent characters. We are using again Flux Lora, but this time we are starting with the prompt grid of our subject 16 times. And we have each image with different expressions, neutral, sad, happy, and profile images as well. There, once we have the grid of 16 images, we need a slight bit of engineering to choose the best ones. We can then upscale these images and train our Flux Lora on replicate using Osteris's toolkit. And here you can have results like that. So I haven't tested this on my own yet, but I'm pretty certain that this should work totally fine. And I want to say thanks to Thibaut Zamora for showing this method. Similarly, another post from AI Warper, they did the same thing with grid method, an image grid of 30 years old Asian woman, silver hair, hipster clothes. And once we have these training images, we can use any online trainer or local trainer. AI Warper used fall.ai, fast training. And then after 5 minutes, we can create these images of the same character, looking pretty consistent in different setups. Before jumping into image-to-video, I would like to show you quickly a prompting guide for Flux Lora. There are 3 major ways of prompting generative AI when it comes to image generation. First method is list-style prompting. This is from early days of Midjourney, DALL-E or Leonardo or other tools where we were just listing random or related keywords in a list format. For example, street photography, person, umbrella, rainy street, city lights, etc. And we were expecting some interesting, significant results. But of course, these new tools are getting better and better in natural language understanding. We have a new prompting style emerged, which is using natural language as we would use in a daily life or as we would talk to another person. For example, a street photo of a person holding an umbrella on a rainy street with bokeh, city lights in the background of the person. This is a full sentence and it perfectly expresses what we are trying to achieve, right? The third method is hybrid style prompting. This is also very similar to atomic prompting guide I was putting online earlier. This is a combination of list style together with natural language style. And I'm personally a huge fan of that. We start with the medium type, a street photo. We have a subject, a street photo of a person holding an umbrella on a rainy street. And instead of writing the full sentence, we are also adding stuff in a list style. Name dropping is also very powerful, and we can use this instead of writing the full sentence. It's completely up to you which method you prefer while prompting. If you feel more comfortable with natural language style, go for it. If you feel more comfortable with hybrid style, go for it. There is no right or wrong. Also, I want to give you some insights on guidance setting of Flux Lora, this particular setting here. So I made 2 tests, sharing with you on the screen. One with more photorealistic AI influencer type of prompt, and another one with a cinematic image. And I compared different guidance values, how they change the image when it comes to photorealism or prompt understanding. We will start with first the extreme values, 0 and 10. If I would ask you which image looks better, I'm guessing majority of you would choose the image with guidance setting 10. This is a good image, and our prompt, particularly about sun, is fully reflected on the final image. However, skin looks plasticky and realism is not that much of a strong priority here. In the guidance, in the image with guidance setting 0, we also have sun. Maybe it's not that prominent in the image, but the cool thing is this image looks quite realistic. The model looks someone you can see on the street. From my perspective, skin looks more realistic and we can spot imperfections, which makes this image more photorealistic. When it comes to values in between, I will strongly suggest you to not use guidance setting as a 1, because in all of my tests, I realized every time I set the setting to 1, image just got horribly wrong and everything morphed into each other. Do not use guidance setting value as 1. For other values, when it comes closer to higher values, it gets more and more stock photo-like. Becomes more magazine-like. The skins becomes more perfect, more polished, more plastic. But for guidance setting value 2, I feel the image looks much more photorealistic, skin looks much more realistic and less plasticky. I repeated the same test for this cinematic prompt, and between 0 and 10, I observed similar trends. However, you will realize when guidance setting was 0, it ignored my prompt a little bit, especially the part regarding the White House on the background. Whereas guidance value 10 reflected everything I wanted in this image perfectly. This is the essence of guidance setting. It's a compromise or a balance between photorealism and prompt understanding. Same problem occurred again with value 1, and I found the value 2 quite a nice balance between prompt understanding and realism. For value 2, I had everything I wanted from this image. The 3.5 and 5 are also okay. But from my perspective, according to my aesthetic understanding, they look a little bit more stock photography-like, which is totally fine. If that's what you need, if that's what you like, there is no right or wrong. It's just personal preferences. Next thing I want to show you is video production using Kling AI. Before, I made a very detailed tutorial about how to prompt Kling AI for the best cinematic results. So I won't repeat that, but briefly, I would like to show you the best way to use this tool. For image-to-video, the prompting requires you to start with subject and action first. On Runway, we focus more on the camera movement in cinematography. On Kling, we also mentioned the camera movement, but in the second part of the prompt. So we always start with the subject, describe the subject and action happening in the scene, and after that, in relation to the subject, we add the camera movement. This prompting style is coming directly from the official prompting guide published by Kling AI team. Once you have the prompting right, you need to choose a setting between creativity and relevance. Again, I won't go into the details, but I spotted around 0.8 to 85 is a sweet spot for obtaining some creativity while staying loyal to my prompt and creative direction stated in the prompt here. For this clip, I used professional mode. The main difference between professional and standard mode is, in professional mode, video quality is slightly better. So it really depends on your budget and what you want to achieve. Another example is the Roomba scene. We have a subject and an action. We described it here clearly. The man is looking at the Roomba while the camera moves down. And we have the camera movement right. There is also slightly forward movement in the camera. It is difficult to be always 100% accurate, but at least we have some control. In this one, I didn't specify the camera movement, but I specified subject and the action. The man is showing the fire, and we got this nice clip where Leonardo is showing the fire. Take a look at the natural movement of eyes, blinking, and a very good animation of fire. This is another shot. This is about face expressions, right? Because in the model we trained on Flux Lora, we had difficulties with face expressions due to the training data. But you don't need to worry about that because in image-to-video, we can actually add or correct the face expressions. So in this shot I mentioned men and women are smiling while the camera is static. I lose a little bit of the coherence of Mona's face. It changed a little bit, but I managed to get this positive smiling vibe from this image here. Another shot, the woman is looking at the camera while camera is slowly zooming in. This required some re-roll due to the Mona is not necessarily looking at the camera as I hoped for, but we got the camera movement right where we have a slow zoom in occurring in the clip. When it comes to achieving consistent style using Flux Lora, I found a way to train the model from just one image because Flux Lora is really great at generalizing, so you can train a style Lora with just one image. I would like to use this image and this style consistently throughout multiple images. So then I went to the ChatGPT, I uploaded my image and asked it to cut it to 20 pieces in different sizes and make a zip file out of it. Then ChatGPT cut my image and produced a zip file that I can download. Then I downloaded those cropped images, got rid of the ones which are just blank or empty or irrelevant, and kept the ones which art style is well reflected. As you can see, it's very low resolution. So I also upscaled them using gigapixel AI. Now they look much better. And like I always do while training models, I selected all of them, right-clicked and clicked on compress. Then this created a zip file that I can upload to Flux Lora trainers. For training, this time I used fal.ai. I uploaded this zip file I created from single image to their fast trainer. I choose CyberJungle and screen as a trigger word. Then I start training. You can see it's in progress and our training is done in 4 minutes. It's really lightning fast and let's try it. So I have CyberJungle and screen. The trigger word is pre-edit here already. I wrote a single prompt, a house on top of a hill. I didn't specify medium, I didn't specify any details, if it's gonna be illustrative or photorealistic, I don't know. So we hit run and our image is ready. Here's the style reference and here's the generated image using consistent style technique. Just from single image, we managed to copy-paste style from a single reference point to a completely new image. Of course, on Midjourney, it's very easy. You can drag and drop any image to prompt box, and it's already possible to use this image as a style reference. So on Flux Lora, this is how you can generate images with consistent style. Hopefully this video was truly helpful for you to explore consistent characters on Flux Lora. If you felt a spark of inspiration, show your support with a thumbs up and join our jungle community by subscribing for more mind-blowing tutorials. See you next time.